I thought today we will have a look at some of the nice Corydoras that are coming in from all over South America. This video features 2 from Bolivia, 1 from Peru, 3 from Suriname, and 6 species from Colombia. Corydoras species Calamar is one of a number of new fish that came in 2020 from the remote city of Calamar in the uppermost Rio Vaupes. This is a sand-colored small Corydoras that will likely be very difficult to find in the hobby. Like many not as spectacular species, they are unlikely to be bred by Corydoras fans, and the remote location will mean few exports. This fish actually has no CW number yet, but I'm sure that will come soon. These smaller species actually do well with some tetras and do not need the larger tanks or fast-moving water that are needed for some of the cooler water rainforest Corys. To get Corys like this from obscure locations that are not regular places for the exporters can be a bit tricky, because often they only become available one time. Corydoras bethanae is not really rare, and it's actually found in the Rio Tapiche drainage, not that far from Iquitos, but I think it's one of the best looking Corys, and I like these species that spend a lot of time hovering in mid-water. They do this frequently. It seems to not serve any purpose, because to feed they forage on the ground like all other Corys. These are larger fish that are easy to keep and do well in a community aquarium with non-aggressive cichlids like apistogramma or angelfish. CW153 is certainly in the running as one of the most strange Corydoras of all. Hans Evers found this bizarre Corydoras in Bolivia. It looks a bit like an otocinclus at first, but behaves very much like a Characidium, arching its back and sitting high on the pectoral fins. This is a tiny fish, about the size of an otocinclus, but much more slender than other small Corys like Hastatus or Pygmaeus. They should really be over very fine sand substrate, and this gravel is less than ideal, but also makes them completely disappear. There are around 30 of the CW153 in this aquarium, but to spot them you have to walk right up to the tank, and since they are not so active and moving, they are very difficult to see. One of my favorite microfish of all time. CW169 was the hot fish in 2020. It looks a lot like Corydoras axelrodi, but has a very bold stripe pattern and completely black dorsal fin. While axelrodi is widespread from the headwaters of the Rio Meta along the eastern slope of the Andes to the Sierra de la Macarena. The habitats where it occurs are usually directly below the edge of the slope. These photos are from the Piedmont of the Macarena, and some 50 meters upstream there are rapids with Astroblepus and completely different fish fauna. CW169 occurs further south, along the Andean slope, west of the Macarena. This region was difficult to visit for a long time and was regarded as one of the towns controlled by guerrillas. The improved political situation likely means some other new fish should come from this area of Colombia sooner or later. Corydoras species CW107 is one of a bunch of new species that are being shipped from the south of Colombia. CW049 is now quite common in the hobby, but this one, especially the long-nose form, is not exported as often. All of these Corys that come from the Rio Vaupes region seem to be blackwater fish, with very bold black and white markings. If you're looking for a Cory that fits well with Altum angelfish or with Ivanacara adocheta, I think this is a good choice. They seem to be hardier than the 2 blotched species CW49 and CW51. Corydoras boesemani is the first of the species from Suriname in this video. The boesemani species name once again stands for nice looking fish, and just like the rainbow and the stingray, the Corydoras is a very beautiful species that is occasionally exported now. Like most Corys from Suriname, they get relatively large and prefer not too hot water that must be very clean. Suriname Corydoras do not like water with high nitrite or nitrate levels and are a bit sensitive, especially when they are wild caught. This fish is popular with Corydoras breeders, so tank-raised ones are becoming available from time to time. If you're tired of the same 3 species available in most shops, this is a good fish to keep an eye out for. Corydoras pantanalensis has once again started coming from Brazil. I think this is one of my favorite species, not just because of the pattern, but because it's very easy to keep, large in size, and very active. Like all Corys, I would suggest their tank be not too small. For these larger species, at least 1 meter or 36 inches long, with fine sand substrate, enough open area so they can forage. The females in this species are not as intensely colored and can look almost like a brocas. You can see a hint of the yellow color in the fins that is supposed to help differentiate these fish from the next species. In comparison, the fish that come from the Beni department in Bolivia, that I assume are Corydoras geryi, are very similar. Their pattern is a little bit more intricate, and the ventral fins don't seem to get the intense green honeycomb patterns on the males. Both of these species are not too difficult to breed, but expensive as wild-caught fish and therefore not exported often. Corydoras geoffroy is a personal favorite. This is the largest species from Suriname and one of the biggest Corydoras of all. They come from the area between the Brokopondo Reservoir and western side of the Maroni River, the border of French Guyana. What makes this fish so spectacular are the adult males that grow very large pectoral fins with spines on them, like many plecos do. In Corydoras, this is very unique, just as the spines on the heads of Corydoras ricbaxa. This species is not easy to care for, and they can be aggressive with each other, so I would suggest aquariums of at least 180 centimeters or 6 feet long. Corydoras filamentosus was a mythical cory for a long time, in part because of the filament that grows on the dorsal fin of mature males, but also because it was just so difficult to get. They come from the upper Coryntine River in Suriname, and that is a very difficult place to reach. Since we have been seeing more fish exports from Suriname, we get a number of Corys from this region now. From Corydoras, the town with the most amazing name in South America. To keep Corydoras filamentosus, be sure you have a very large tank with excellent water conditions and plenty of current and oxygen saturation. In Montreal, where Canadian summers now have extended periods over 32 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I need an air-conditioned room or a chiller to keep fish like this long term, because the extended periods of hot temperatures are really not ideal for them. Sometimes we get a new fish only because people are looking for something else. Because apistogramma are so diverse in the Rio Vaupés region, fishermen are collecting some Corydoras alongside them in the border region of Colombia and Brazil, like this CW104. This is a very small Corydoras, stretched out, round-headed fish that has the odd body shape of Corydoras tucano, which occurs just a bit to the south. I hope everyone saw a cory they have not seen before, and we'll try to do these videos when there's enough footage of 10 or so species we can put together. Make sure to share our videos and subscribe to this channel.